Good morning, Chavra. Today is the 7th day of Iyar. Let's start with counting the Omer on page 137, the bottom of the page. Last night we counted 22. Say together, Hayoim, Shnayim, Ve'esrim, Yoim, Tehem, Shloisha, Shavuos, V'yoim Echad Lo'omer. Today is 22 days, which is 3 weeks and 1 day of the Omer. We are beginning a new chapter in Tanya on page 108 in the Chayenu if you're following along. Again, today's Monday, the 7th of Iyar, and we're beginning chapter 45, Perek Mem Hey. Let's give you a quick overview of the chapter and we'll get right into it. The Tanya goes further in its mission in trying to make a heartfelt, soulful divine service accessible to every single Jew. Every day in Shema we say, we love Hashem. We're commanded to love God with all our heart, soul, and might. But how do we do this? So the Alter Rebbe is trying to teach us exactly how, by giving us tools, ideas, meditations, and direction. Regardless of your level of observance, or regardless of your level of knowledge of Torah, this chapter focuses on compassion as the key to unlock the heart, following love, allowing the love to follow. In today's lesson, arouse compassion for the divine spark which is found within you. Every yid has a neshama, every yid has the love for Hashem, has the ability to love God, but we have to wake that up, and how do we do that? So this spark has to be ignited, and we're going to try to find ways and means. In the previous chapters, the Alter Rebbe explains how a yid can perform Torah and mitzvahs with his heart, with all his heart, right? Come closer, you want to come in? Come in the shot. The Alter Rebbe explains how every Jew can perform Torah and mitzvahs with his heart, with a love and fear of Hashem. When a yid is motivated by love and a desire to cleave to God, his Torah and his mitzvahs will surely be lishma, for the focus of intention of connecting with God. So now we continue and say like this: love and fear of Hashem stem from the two attributes of kindness and severity. Love, chesed, kindness, and severity, gvura, fear. There's yet another direct path open to man, namely to occupy himself with Torah mitzvahs. How do we love Hashem? By occupying ourselves with Torah mitzvahs. How and what and why, even the best way, is just for the sake of learning Torah, not for any ulterior motive, which is very hard because obviously we're learning to gain knowledge, and sometimes it actually makes us feel very good. Often is the case. So when we learn Torah with the innermost feelings of the heart and soul, when we learn Torah through the attribute of Jacob, this being the attribute of mercy. We talked about Chesed, we talked about Gevurah. Okay, just hint, spoiler alert. Avraham and Yitzchak, and then we have Yaakov. Mercy, compassion. This is accomplished by arousing in his mind, meaning before he does a mitzvah or before he learns Torah, he arouses in his mind the great compassion for Hashem. Imagine another yid needs to do a favor. We're learning in a yem. Just for another yid to do a favor, we might have been put on this earth. So therefore, imagine Hashem is waiting for you to do a mitzvah. And you're having compassion for the God that has created everything for you to be able to exist and for you to be able to learn Torah and perform mitzvahs. That divine spark, that neshama, that piece of God, which animates your divine soul, that descended from its source of life above, right? The neshama originally didn't want to come down, but it came all the way down here in this world to give you life. And the God, the place that it came from, up in heaven, by Hashem, is the one who fills the entire world, gives life to every single thing that we encounter. And in comparison with Hashem, everything is accounted as nothing. This then is the exalted level from which the soul has descended. It's been enclosed in the body, which is called a serpent skin. The body is like a galus for the neshama, an exile. And it's referred to as a serpent skin. The body is referred to as a skin since it serves as a garment to the soul. The body is just like the skin is encloses your body and the organs inside you, right? You have the bones and the veins and the blood and the heart and the different organs inside the brain. So there's the skin. So too, the pasuk says, "You have garbed me with skin and flesh." This is moreover the skin of a snake. Why a snake? Since the body is unrefined, in its unrefined state is loathsome, as explained in chapter 31. So when the divine spark enters such a body, now it could do a mitzvah. Now it could do things that it was put on this world to do to fulfill the service of Hashem, of the king. The body is far removed from the light of the king's countenance at the greatest possible distance. Since this world is the most coarse and the furthest away from the holy spiritual worlds, and unfortunately, there's sometimes where we meet darkness in this world. I was listening to words from Rabbi Shalom Ber Lipsker of Shalom, who just passed away on Shabbos. He was the rabbi of the Shalom Bell Harbor and Surfside and those areas. He was an absolutely powerful, unbelievable shliach. And he said that darkness, the evil is represented by darkness. I mean, this is from the Rebbe, but he was just saying it in an interview. So evil is represented by darkness, and goodness and holiness is represented by light. We always talk about Hashem as Oire Ein Sof, the eternal light. So this world is the evil, the darkness, the klipa, that we have to peel back the layers and reveal the goodness and reveal the light of Hashem. Especially when a person feels great compassion for his soul, he realizes that he's schlepping his neshama along wherever he goes, whatever he says, and whatever he thinks. His neshama is being dragged through the mud. And the king of the world is thereby fettered by the tresses. What are tresses? I don't know. By different thoughts that enter the brain. Hashem is, so to speak, dragged along when we think impure thoughts. We have to keep our mind clean. And then the words that come out are clean. And then the actions are holy. For Yaakov is the rope of his inheritance. So the word chevel usually translates as lot or a portion of land. Here it's interpreted by a different meaning, which is rope. When a rope has one end tied above, tugging at the lower end is going to draw down the upper end. So a yid is connected to the Eibishter. We learn that also from the aleph. The letter, every single shape of the aleph base has significance and meaning. So when you take the aleph, you have the yud above and the yud below. The yud above represents Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu. The yud below represents the yid. And the line in between is the kav, is the strand, the rope that connects us to Hashem and also brings down blessing into our lives. So when we yank on a rope, we're connected to Hashem constantly because we have a neshama, and our neshama is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if we do something, say something, or even think something that's not proper, we're pulling on the rope and we're pulling Hashem down with us into the galus, further into darkness. As in the above illustration of one pulling a rope and so forth, this is the esoteric doctrine of the exile of the Shekhinah. Well, how is the Shekhinah in galus? Because it's inside inside the neshama is in each and every yid, which is in galus. But even sort of a personal exile, we have the world at large, which we're currently in galus, and we're waiting for Mashiach to redeem us from the galus and bring us to Geula, right? But we also have the individual galus when the soul is inside the body. The body serves as the exile for the neshama, which is in galus, which within the body. Concerning this matter, that the pity is all the greater since the soul source is in exile. This is when you have compassion on Hashem. You say, you know what? If I do such and such, which is not lined up with what Hashem wants me to do, then I'm causing him to be dragged further into the galus. However, we can't imagine how painful that might be. And the opposite is also true. When I do something positive, so that's what we think of right before we do a mitzvah or we learn Torah. We think of something positive and we say, Eibishter for Rachmanis, and I'm going to do something positive and lift you up, lift up the neshama to a higher level and bring the Eibishter nachas, as it is written, and let him return to Hashem and have mercy upon him. So we have mercy, we have compassion to Hashem when we do the right thing. Arousing great compassion towards Hashem, who dwells amongst us, as the pasuk says, who dwells amongst them in the midst of their uncleanliness. So even though the Jews are chas v'shalom, even when the Jews are chas v'shalom in an unclean spiritual state, still Hashem dwells among them. So the arousal of compassion towards Hashem is what's alluded to in the previous pasuk, and let him return to Hashem and have mercy. The Alter Rebbe goes on to explain that this was what Yaakov did, and this is what he was compassionate about. And he thought about this for all generations, for future generations as well, that even when a Jew does a misdeed and they're in Galus, they're able, through the study of Torah and doing a mitzvah, to be raised from the state that they're in and become reunited with the light of Hashem. So the takeaway for today is contemplation to develop Rachmanus, mercy upon your soul, is my soul wants to go to a higher level, it wants to reconnect to its source. And it came down into this body, and my actions, if I do something which is neged Hashem, which is the opposite of what Hashem wants, it hurts, it's painful, it's a bad experience. It's not a good experience, I should say. But when I do a mitzvah, I have pity on and compassion on HaKadosh Baruch Hu and on my neshama, and I lift it up, I return it to its source, reconnecting it to its purpose and to its source, and giving the Eibishter tremendous nachas. All right, that's it for today. Tomorrow we continue in chapter 45 in Tanya. Have a good day, everyone.